Good evening. This meeting is called to order. Stella, if you'd please read the call.
Notice of public meeting of the City Commission of the City of Brownsville. Pursuant to Chapter 551, Title 5 of the Texas Government Code, the Texas Open Meetings Act, notice is hereby given that the City Commission of the City of Brownsville, Texas, in accordance with Article 5, Section 12 of the Charter of said city, will convene a regular meeting on Tuesday, May 2nd, 2006 at 6 p.m. in the Commission Chambers on the second floor of the Brownsville City Hall Federal Building, located at 1001 East Elizabeth Street, Brownsville, Cameron County, Texas.
All right, we have some very special children with us from Champion Elementary. If I could ask Tiffany Niero, Alondra Molina, and Priscilla Plancarte to come step forward to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance and in the State Pledge. Are they here?
Trying to find parking?
No?
It's at the back.
Tiffany,
All right, well, if that's the situation, if they're not here, then let me ask the President and the Vice President of the St. Mary Student Council to please lead us in the Pledge and in the State Pledge. You step forward, please. Everybody please stand.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Honor the Texas Pledge. I pledge allegiance to the Texas, one and indivisible.
Thank you. Oops, I lost my... Who is here to lead us in the invocation? I'm sorry, I lost your name. Oh, that's why. Pastor Obed Urdiales,
Para servirle, Señor Mayor.
bienvenido.
Vamos a orar al mismo Dios al que hicimos al principio. Y lo voy a hacer en español porque veo que hay muchas personas que son de descendencia hispana. Gracias, Señor, por la oportunidad tan preciosa que tenemos en este día de venir ante tu presencia para darte gracias por las bendiciones que tú has derramado sobre este pueblo y los líderes, Señor, que nos dirigen en esta ciudad. Pedimos que la bendición del Altísimo y la inteligencia que tú sabes dar para conducir este miren, Señor, sea palpable en esta tarde. Todo esto, Señor, lo pedimos a ti porque tú eres bueno y que para siempre es tu misericordia. Y te damos gracias de antemano porque tu palabra nos enseña que en todo demos gracias a ti. En el nombre glorioso de Cristo Jesús, tu Hijo amado, pedimos todo y te damos gracias de antemano por cada una de las grandes cosas que de aquí van a emanar para la bendición nuestra, los ciudadanos de esta ciudad. Amén y amén.
Amén. Gracias.
Antes de retirarme, Mayor, quisiera una porcioncita chiquita de medio minuto que dicen las Sagradas Escrituras. Fíjese bien, no hay nada más bello ni nada más agradable que ver los hermanos vivir juntos y en armonía. Esta es palabra del Señor.
Alabamos.
Amén.
Amén.
Que Dios le siga bendiciendo en esta tarde.
Gracias, Pastor. All right, do we have them? Good. All right. We have some special proclamation this evening. I'd ask Miss Cristina Camargo to please step forward.
This is a proclamation of the City Commission of Brownsville, Texas, congratulating Cristina Camargo of Christie's Cake Shop for being the Small Business Administration's Lower Rio Grande Valley District Small Business Person of the Year. Whereas, after baking and selling cakes from her home for 11 years, Cristina R. Camargo 9 years ago opened Christie's Cake Shop at 355 Kings Highway. And whereas in November 2003, the Brownsville Local Development Company, Inc., with an SBA loan, an SBA 504 loan program, assisted Cristina Camargo with the financing of her business expansion. and is now baking over 2,000 cakes a week, as well as cookies, cupcakes, pies, and many other types of pastries. She currently employs 12 workers and has an average annual income of $500,000. Whereas, after being selected the Brownsville Herald's Best of the Best, Christie's Cake Shop has received 2 national prizes and has currently received a certificate of special congressional recognition for outstanding and invaluable service to the community. Whereas Mrs. Camargo, a native of Zacatecas, Mexico, comes from a family familiar with a successful baking business in Mexico, and even though she has a degree from Centro de Estudios Universitarios in Monterrey, Mexico, she decided to follow the family tradition into the world of baking. Whereas through her enterprise, dedication, and hard work, Cristina R. Camargo was nominated by the Brownsville Local Development Company, Inc., and has earned the SBA's Rio Grande Valley Small Business Person of the Year. And we congratulate her for this. Now, therefore, we, the members of the City Commission of the City of Brownsville, Texas, by virtue of the authority vested by the charter of the said city, we do hereby recognize her selection as a Small Business Person, Administration's Lower Rio Grande Valley District Small Business Person of the Year. We further wish Mrs. Camargo success in the future and commend her on her excellent product. Done this 2nd day of May, 2006, signed by the Mayor and City Commission.
Si quiere decir unas palabras, señora Camargo.
Muchas gracias. Buenas tardes a todos. Señor Mayor Eddie Treviño, honorables miembros del Cabildo. Me siento sumamente honrada y orgullosa de recibir este reconocimiento. Para mí es muy importante. Gracias a Brownsville porque me ha dado todo. Estoy muy conmovida, muy emocionada. No tengo palabras con que expresarles mi gratitud. Que Dios los bendiga y espero seguir haciendo los mejores pasteles del Valle.
Muchísimas gracias. ¿Qué sigue? All right, we also have some other very special guests with us today. The St. Mary's Catholic School Student Council, I'd like to ask them to please step forward. Where's your president? Go ahead, lady. He's not here? Oh, who's the vice president then? We have a proclamation of the City Commission of Brownsville, Texas, recognizing the St. Mary's Catholic School Student Council. Whereas St. Mary's Catholic School Student Council for the 2005-2006 school year joins other student councils that have come before it in search of leadership roles in and understanding of government. And whereas St. Mary's Catholic School Student Council, installed in 1989, was a welcome visitor to the Brownsville City Commission meeting of May the 2nd, 2006. And whereas throughout the year, St. Mary's Catholic School has educated thousands of students, many of whom have become prosperous leaders in our community. And whereas the staff and parents of St. Mary's Catholic School fully support the foundations by which our children learn that their government and become productive Christian civic leaders in Brownsville. Now, therefore, we, the members of the City Commission of Brownsville, Texas, by virtue of the authority vested by the charter of said city, do hereby recognize and welcome the St. Mary's Catholic School Student Council to this meeting of the Brownsville City Commission, and further congratulate the student council members on their civic pride and determination to learn about government and its functions, done this 2nd day of May, signed by the mayor and the city commissioners. In case you haven't realized, I am a product of St. Mary's, and I'm very, very proud of the foundation that I received over there. And I want to thank the principal, Mr. John Barrera, who asked through one of the student council representatives, whose name is, he's the one who really put all this together. His name is Steven Trevino. He convinced the mayor that he needed to do this for the student council of St. Mary's, and I'm more than happy to do this. Anytime I have the opportunity to spend with the children of Brownsville, I realize what an honor and privilege it is to be able to serve as your mayor. I think we have some wonderful student leaders here, both men and women. Somebody asked if you have to be a man to become mayor, and I told her absolutely not. I use the example of our former mayor, Blanca Vela, who was our first. So I hope that everybody who's watching realizes that if they work hard, try hard, have the determination, any of you can succeed. May God continue to bless all of you, and thank you for joining us here this evening. Mr. Barrera, if you'd like to say a few words.
Thank you, Mayor. It's with great pride that we attend your chambers this afternoon. It's been a wonderful, wonderful tour. I know that the children learned quite a bit from this tour about city government, and we certainly saw the relationship between student council and city government, and we thank you so very much for your hospitality.
Thank you for being with us, Mr. Barrera.
Thank you.
Good luck, guys. Well, we go from our future leaders to our current heroes. We have a very, very special proclamation to some very, very special individuals who epitomize the ultimate rule, do unto others as you would have them do unto you, and one who would be so willing to lay down his life for another. I'd ask all of the Good Samaritans to please step forward to receive your recognition on behalf of a grateful city. Commissioner Camarillo, if you do the honor.
Yes, ma'am. The proclamation of the City Commission of Brownsville, Texas, recognizing and congratulating Good Samaritans in our community.
We'll do one more.
Whereas on April 17, 2006, at 5:32 p.m., Tammy Marie White, with her two-month-old daughter, Aaliyah White, as a passenger, was driving a black 2001 Sport Track pickup truck south on the 1000 block of North Paredes Line Road in Brownsville, when she blacked out, lost control of her vehicle, and wound up in Resaca de la Guerra, where 4-foot waters quickly flooded the vehicle and threatened to drown the occupants. And whereas at the time, Rene Villarreal, who happened to be driving by, saw what happening, and after learning a child was in the vehicle, jumped into the Resaca de la Guerra, and by using a tire tool, was able to break one of the truck's windows, enabling Jose Pisana, who had also stopped, and to grab Aaliyah White, who was underwater, and carry her to dry ground. And whereas the child was taken by Mike Fergich, who by performing cardiopulmonary resuscitation was able to revive Aaliyah White and cared for her until the arrival of an ambulance from Valley Regional Medical Center. And whereas Sandra Sustatia, who also entered the water, helped Rene Villarreal pull Tammy Marie White from the vehicle with the help of Brownsville Independent School District's police officers, Luis Machado and Luis Velasquez, got her to dry ground. And whereas Tammy Marie White and her daughter, Aaliyah White, are both alive and well today, thanks to the heroic efforts of Rene Villarreal, Jose Pisana, Sandra Susatia, Mike Fergich, Luis Machado, and Luis Velasquez. Good Samaritans all, who live and work in our community, who are willing to risk their safety to help others who are in trouble. Now, therefore, we, the members of the City Commission of the City of Brownsville, Texas, by virtue of authority vested by the charter of said city, do hereby recognize and congratulate the Good Samaritans in our community who, by their quick thinking, bravery, the life-saving skills, rescues a mother and her young daughter from a possible life-threatening situation. For this, we thank them and offer them congratulations and best wishes from a grateful community. Done this second day of May 2006, signed Mayor Eddie Trevino Jr. and the rest of the City Commission. Congratulations.
It's great to hear her cry.
That's right.
I was just getting ready to say that you can bring your daughter in to cry in our chambers anytime, Miss White.
Right.
You know, a hero is not necessarily somebody who has to do something. A person who is called upon to do an extraordinary thing is what you all did. A hero is an ordinary person who is called upon to do an extraordinary task. You all had no idea what the day held out for you that day. Neither did Miss White. God was looking down upon everybody. We're so happy to have her crying in our chambers. You have no idea. I'm sure you are too. But we're so thankful that we have such wonderful, caring individuals in our community that they saw someone in need and they reacted. And God willing, thankfully, we had a wonderful result out of this. So
Good job, Mike.
we're so proud of you.
Mayor, I have to speak up.
Go ahead, Commissioner.
It's thank you to all of you for what you did for this lady and her family, and especially when I saw them walk up to see my former student, you know, a student that excelled in school, and to see that he's also a good member of our community and we've always known that you have a big heart. And I want to thank you especially also for being my student and for taking all those lessons you've learned and helped this wonderful family. Thank you, Rolando.
Let's give them all a big round of applause again. Ms. White, would you like to say something?
It's real simple. I just want to say thank you to all you guys for saving me and my baby, because if you guys were not there, you know, we wouldn't be here today able to collect these things. You guys are heroes, and I love you all. Thank you.
Anybody want to speak on behalf of the Good Samaritans? Mike, you seem to be, you quiet her down. Obviously.
Well, I just want to thank the City Commission to begin with for honoring us, the Police Department and the Fire Department as well, and all these people that helped me in the rescue mission. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Good job, guys.
Did we get the picture?
Bill.
Okay, thank you, Bill. All right. The next presentation we're going to have is Tree City, USA. Maribel Bermudez.
Yala.
Good evening, Mayor and City Commissioners. We have a great presentation for you right now. I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Paul Johnson. He is our Regional State Forester.
Good evening. My name is Paul Johnson. I'm the Regional Urban Forester here for the Valley. And one of the things that I get to do that I love the most is recognize people who really care for trees. And the National Arbor Day Foundation many years ago started a program called Tree City USA, which recognizes cities that go above and beyond taking care of their trees, encouraging their community to plant trees, planting trees themselves, and Tree City USA is the way that we do that. This year, I have the pleasure to present to you the Tree City USA recognition for the 7th year. So we've got a lot of things. I won't show everything here, but we've got a new sticker for the sign that says 7 years. We've got a hat. I got enough people here. We can show the new flag.
Thank you. Thank you, Yella.
Put it upside down first. Yeah, why don't you step up front?
There you go.
And not only is this the 7th year that the city is a Tree City USA, but we also have a growth award for the 4th year, I believe. Tree City USA Growth Award recognizes environmental improvement and a higher level of tree care in your community as evidenced by additions or significant improvements to your tree program during the past year. Congratulations on your achievement. This emblem should be added to the Growth Award plaque you received previously. Trees do so many wonderful things for us, and I cover the entire valley. And one of the things that I was told very early on is that Brownsville is the jewel of tree care in the valley. And you guys do an absolutely wonderful job. This is in recognition of that. And just to point out to everybody, this is the only Tree City USA in the valley. And you've been a Tree City for 7 years now. It's a wonderful achievement, and I celebrate all of you and recognize all of you and thank all of you.
Maribel, you want to say something?
Well, on behalf of the city, the Brownsville Beautification Committee gladly accepts this award. We're very proud. We've worked very hard. I'd like to give special thanks and recognition to David Ivory and the Greens Division for making this possible, and also Ed Caprell and Martino, who are our state city forester and urban forester, for their participation in this as well. We look forward to a continued awards and working hard towards that goal. And looking forward to making Brownsville beautiful.
Thank you,
More
Maribel.
than it already is.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We appreciate all your efforts. Thank you for being here. Item 3.
Item 3, consent agenda items A through I.
After review, I also move to approve.
Motion to approve, second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. All right, we're going to take, where's Ben? Is it item 7? The citizens, is that right? Okay. Item 7.
Item 7, public hearing and action to adopt the October 1, 2006 to September 30th, 2007 consolidated plan budget of the city's housing and urban development entitlement grants and the citizens participation plan.
Good evening, Mayor and City Commissioners. On February the 7th, this commission assigned the Brownsville Citizens Advisory Committee the task of gathering information on the needs of the city, prioritizing projects, and making funding recommendations to this body for consideration of the HUD entitlement grants for fiscal year 2007. This year, the BCAC held 2 public hearings, went on 2 tours to visit some organizations, and held 2 workshops. The committee volunteered approximately 40 to 50 hours of work to this very important task. And in behalf of the staff, I would just like to thank them very much for their hard work. And here to introduce the committee is Mr. Joe Wallace Garcia, the chair of the BCAC.
Excuse me. First of all, there were 14 members to the committee. They were all appointed by you, 2 per commissioner, with the mayor got 3. And we spent a good 40, 50 hours visiting and getting the data together. And we visited some of the sites that are being proposed from last year and some that are being proposed for this year. And we finally came up to this paper, this in the funding cycle for this year, and I hope you all consider it. And I'm going to ask Ms. Millie Nesser to come up front. Ms. Millie Nesser has been there for 5 years. Is that right? 4 years. I've been there for 5 years with the committee. So, if you have any questions, she'll try to answer them.
Ms. Esther, thank you.
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. Thank you very much for this opportunity to be of help with the HUD entitlement grants recommendation. The committee heard presentations from 22 nonprofit organizations in addition to 2 city departments. There was a total of $6.7 million worth of proposals for the CDBG and the ESG grants, and only $3,497,032 to allocate. So we knew we had our work cut out, as has been the case in all the years past. In the social services category, the committee is recommending to fund a total of $413,800 in projects. This represents over 82% of funding that is allowed by regulation. Although the city's CDBG grant continues to decrease, the committee is recommending that almost all organizations be awarded, very close to what they were awarded last year. We are aware that 2 organizations did not submit their applications on time. We're also aware that these organizations offer very critical services to our community. Therefore, this committee is recommending that $89,000 in CDBG funds, which can be used for social services, be available in February 2007, so that these 2 organizations are considered at that time if they submit a good application on a timely basis. Under the housing category, the committee considered $622,500 in projects. Based on the need for housing rehabilitation and affordable housing that is outlined in the housing study, which was done by the Cross-Border Institute for Regional Development, which was commissioned by the city in 2004, we are recommending that $697,500 be awarded in this category. Next, a total of $4,274,059 was considered under the Public Facilities and Improvements category, but only $1.2 million was available for allocation. The committee is recommending that $200,000 be awarded for sidewalk construction, with particular consideration to areas around schools. Secondly, the committee is recommending that $1,031,000 be awarded for streets, with the objective that the engineering and public works departments work closely with the planning department in the prioritization process. The city is expected to receive approximately $176,000 in program income by August 2007. The committee's recommendation is that funding be used to pay the Section 108 installment of the Linear Park project that the city is expected to be awarded. The emergency shelter grant is $143,097 this year. The committee received proposals totaling $203,000. We're recommending that the Friendship of Women, the Good Neighbor Settlement House, and the Ozanam Center receive funding for their programs. The committee is recommending that the home and the ADDI grants be put out for request for proposal to make affordable housing available to families in Brownsville. This recommendation is in line with similar recommendations made in years past. This will allow for work that has been done to date on this project to continue to its completion. Finally, the BCAC is recommending that the Citizens Participation Plan be updated to meet the current HUD rules and regulations. You will find a copy of that plan in your packet. Any questions?
Thank you, Ms. Esser. Any questions?
No, I'd just like to thank the committee for all the hard hours that you've all put in for a job well done and considering everything. I know it's a tough job. It's not easy. So I appreciate everything you guys do.
Lots of hours out of after work, lots of hours in between other meetings. We really, really appreciate all that.
Mayor, I just want to add, want to thank the committee members for taking the time. Had the opportunity to go out to one of their public forums, and I met this past week with Ms. Garcia, and I started looking at her information, and I said, my God, I can't believe you have to read all this, all these packets, and well, she's read them, and I appreciate her involvement and the rest of the members' involvement, and thank you for taking the time. I would also like to touch on the RFP when it comes to grant housing and looking over the issue of how I believe a HUD requirement says that we only allow 2 contractors to build homes. I would like to look into a little bit more into detail to that, if that is in case, if HUD does require us only to allow 2 contractors to build homes, and what is the possibility of opening that up to additional contractors, but more so for contractors who may be disabled vets who are contractors themselves. I know that's something at the federal level that the federal government outlines certain contracts. That may be a state level issue, but I like to see maybe we can look into that.
Sure. No, we're not limited to just 2 contractors. Anybody can come and compete for, rehabilitation programs, affordable housing. CDBG pays particular attention to contractors that are minority businesses, that are small businesses, and we're looking into that, as a matter of fact, with a program that we want to initiate, the rehab program that we're recommending that the city undertakes this coming year, just for that, to use small businesses, construction businesses to do that.
Thank you, sir.
Sure.
Thank you all.
Thank you again for all your efforts.
Mayor, this is a public hearing.
All right, this is a public hearing.
Move to close.
Second.
Oh, hold on a second, Commissioner. Need to make sure there's nobody. Anybody who wants to speak needs to step forward. You would tell the camera your name, please.
My name is Randall Bolivar. Honorable Mayor, City Commission, thank you for allowing me to speak. As a service-disabled veteran, I too, as Commissioner Camarillo said, I too would like to ask both the Mayor and the City Commission for their support in allowing for service-disabled veteran-owned businesses a better opportunity for funding or contracting from different organizations within the city, as far as grants that are given from the city to other organizations, so that those organizations may subcontract to service-disabled veteran-owned businesses. I myself am a service-disabled veteran-owned business, and I too would like to be able to one day prosper as Ms. Camargo has in her business. It's just, we'd like the support that the federal government has given veterans. We would like that at the state, but more importantly here locally, since most of our small businesses cannot compete for state and federal contracts. It is my opinion and my proposal to the Mayor and the City Commission that 5% of the total allocated funds for the Community Development Block Grant for housing in particular be allocated or allotted for service-disabled veteran-owned businesses, and I hope the committee also takes that into consideration. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bolivar.
Any questions?
Nope.
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you for being here. All right, nobody else? Motion to close public hearing by Commissioner Arroyo,
Second.
second by, I'm sorry,
She wants to
Commissioner
speak.
Longoria. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Action.
Mayor, one comment I'd like to make, that it's, and having worked with the committee for many years, it's very hard to decide who doesn't get funding. And I think the issue about the disabled veteran issue is something that, for future consideration, we need to look at. I would make a motion that we go with the committee's recommendation. They worked really hard. They did most of the hard work for us, and I really appreciate it, and that would be my motion.
All right, we have a motion to approve by Commissioner Hernandez, seconded by Commissioner Arroyo. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. All right, Thank you. We're going to go back to item
4.
4. Before we do that, let me make some quick announcements while I still have most of the people here. This Thursday, May the 4th, is the National Day of Prayer, and this is going to be observed locally at 2 different locations. This is going to be the 3rd year that the Mayor's Prayer Breakfast has taken place. It'll be taking place at the Luby's at Sunrise Mall. Doors open at 6:30 in the morning, and everybody should be out of there before 8 o'clock so we can get to work. In addition to that, there will be a National Day of Prayer observed at the Federal Courthouse on May the 4th from 9 to 10. All elected officials and members of the public are invited to attend. That will take place in front of the Federal Courthouse. In addition, there'll be a groundbreaking for the Brownsville-Cameron County Service Building on Saturday, May the 6th from 9 to 10 at 990 California Road. Again, everyone is invited to attend. And, one last thing. I should have done this while the Samaritans were still here. One of the Good Samaritans, Rene Villarreal, lost his watch in the rescue. And Jesus Guerrero from Jewel Gallery will be presenting him with a new replacement watch. I guess that got done earlier this evening, so we'll have to thank him for that. Okay. Well, we were asking if anybody wanted to speak on this item. We've now closed it. You're free to come back at next week's meeting if you want to speak. I apologize, but I did ask if anybody else had anything to speak. Nobody got up or anything, so I do apologize, but we asked several times. Okay? I'm sorry. We have to move on with the rest of the business. Item 4.
Item 4, public hearing and action on resolution number 2006-031 to authorize the filing of a grant application with the United States Department of Transportation, Federal Transit Administration for the Urbanized Area Formula Program, authorized by 49 U.S.C. Chapter 53 of Title 23 United States Code for capital planning and operating assistance for fiscal year 2006.
Good evening, Mayor and City Commissioners. The presentation for this item will be given by Alex Lorio, who's the grant writer for this project and put this application together.
Good afternoon, Honorable Mayor and City Commissioners. During this presentation, I'll briefly discuss the Section 5307 grant program and our allocation for fiscal year 2006. Then I'll go over each of the capital, planning, and operating requests included in the proposal. And after the presentation, you may open the public hearing to receive any comments and take action on this item. This grant application is a yearly requirement for the city to access its share of federal funds for capital, planning, and operating assistance. This is not a competitive grant. The funds are allocated to transit systems by Congress on an annual basis. The allocations are then published in the Federal Register. The federal funds for all cities with a population under 200,000 are appointed to the governor of each state, who then has the authority to reallocate these funds. In Texas, the governor has authorized TxDOT to distribute the funds. This year, the city's federal allocation was $2,680,141,000. However, because other urbanized areas in the state declined their portion of the federal allocation, TxDOT redistributed those funds. Therefore, the city's total allocation in 2006 is $2,768,680, which is about $88,539 higher than what was published in the Federal Register. Activities for this grant include capital, planning, and operating expenses. Each type of expense requires a non-federal match. Most capital projects require a 20% non-federal match. In other words, every dollar in non-federal funds is matched by $4 in federal funds. Our proposal includes 7 capital projects. The first is the purchase of a heavy-duty transit bus. We'd like to purchase a 35-foot bus for fixed route operations. It'll replace one of our older buses that has achieved its minimum normal service life. Because this bus will come equipped with a wheelchair lift, it's eligible for 83% federal match, and the city will only have to match 17%. A second project is fare collection equipment. Bus will purchase 2 automatic ticket vending machines. One will be purchased with funds from a previous grant and installed in the downtown terminal. This grant will pay for the second machine, which will be installed at another location like the Northside Transfer Station or the Sunrise Mall.
Alex, I'm sorry to interrupt. Just 1 second.
Sure.
With the machine, will that be going in our current location, or will we be waiting until the multimodal transfer, or will we be able to move that machine once the multimodal facility is built?
Yeah, we'll be able to move it.
Thank you.
It'll allow passengers to purchase individual tickets or bus passes using cash or credit cards. Third project is bus will use a portion of its allocation for security improvements. The Federal Transit Administration requires that transit systems use a minimum of 1% of their allocation for security projects. So we'll be purchasing surveillance equipment to install at our facilities, including the administrative offices, downtown terminal, and Northside Transfer Station. And these will be able to move to other locations too. Another capital project is rehabilitation and renovation of miscellaneous bus stop facilities. We propose to allocate $72,000 for this project. The funds will be used to make miscellaneous improvements at our bus stops throughout the system. Improvements include things like installing concrete stop pads, wheelchair ramps, widening intersections, installing or replacing poles, signs, benches, etc. We'll also be acquiring new office equipment. We'll acquire a new copy equipment and scanning software for improved document management functions. And the last 2 capital projects are preventive maintenance and paratransit operations. Bus will be taking advantage of federal rules that allow us to capitalize what are normally considered operating expenses. FTA matches operating expenses at 50-50 match registration. The activities associated for this project include administrative expenses related to the grant. Next project is short-range transit planning. Most of these funds are used to pay the salary of the transit planner for mostly short-range planning. Next project is coordination of human service planning. These funds will be used for studies that encompass broader transit planning goals. Part of the funds will be used to contribute to a regional planning effort that has been mandated by TxDOT. And the last planning project in this is travel. These funds will be used for travel expenses related to training, professional development, or association meetings, so on. Finally, the proposal includes operating assistance. Operating assistance requires 50% non-federal match for the operating subsidy. So every dollar we contribute is matched by $1 in federal funds. BUS is proposing to allocate $1,111,856 in federal funds, which will be matched by the same amount. $593,637 in match will be contributed by TxDOT. $13,089 will be contributed by the county, and the balance, or $505,130, will be contributed by the city. And the city has 4 years to allocate and use these funds. This table shows a breakdown by funding categories and by contributors. The city's contribution for capital projects will be $389,143. Will be matched by $1,600,824 federal dollars. For planning, the city will contribute $14,000. Will be matched by $56,000 federal funds for a total of $70,000. For operating, the city will contribute $505,130. The county $13,089. TxDOT $593,637. And FTA $1,111,856. So the total for the city's contribution is $908,273. County $13,089, TxDOT $593,637, FTA $2,768,680 for a total project of $4,283,680. One of the requirements for submitting this grant application is to hold a public hearing. The purpose for the hearing is to obtain the views of citizens on the proposed program of projects and on the performance of BUS. Public hearing notice that included the proposed budget with brief descriptions was published in the legal notices portion of the classified ads section of the Brownsville Herald on April 16th, 2006. That concludes my presentation. At this point, you may open the public hearing to receive comments, and if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
This is a public hearing. Let me ask you this, Alex. Where's our portion coming from? It's already budgeted?
Already budgeted.
All right, for this purpose? Okay.
Good return.
Yep.
So move to close.
Motion to close public hearing by Commissioner Neros.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Longoria. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries action.
Move to approve.
Motion approved by Commissioner Neros.
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Longoria. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Item 5.
Item 5,
luck.
public hearing and action on first reading of ordinance number 235-2006-014 to rezone from dwelling Z classification to light retail G classification, 0.15 acres out of Lot 22 of Block 5 of Villanueva subdivision near US 281 and El Metro Street.
Honorable Mayor and City Commission, this is here shaded in red. This is Military Highway. And this is Flor de Mayo, and you have Alton Glor Boulevard here. In this particular case, the applicant would like to have a light retail operation. The Planning and Zoning Commission voted unanimously to approve this recommendation to you.
Ben, this isn't that, I was advised there was a gentleman that had some car lot.
But this is not the case.
This is not the case? Okay. Was that
Ben-
supposed to be on the agenda for today?
No.
No.
All right.
And next to that, I'm sorry, Mayor.
Go ahead, Commissioner.
Next to that blue shaded, what is that?
That's an existing business. I believe that's a bakery.
That's the bakery. Okay.
So it's next to the bakery,
It's right next to the bakery.
on 281.
Yes.
What is it that he's going to open?
Yeah.
Little grocery store.
Oh, okay.
Goes along with it.
Any questions? Any comments by the public?
Move to close hearing.
Motion closed by Commissioner Hernandez, seconded by
Second.
Commissioner Camarillo. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, motion action.
Move to approve.
Motion approved by Commissioner Camarillo, seconded by Commissioner Hernandez. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Next item.
Thank you.
Well, I'll tell you what, Stella, the next item should be short, right? All right, item 6.
Item 6, first public hearing on voluntary annexation and on service plan.
Honorable Mayor and City Commission, this is a voluntary annexation. It's on
Yes.
281. It's right a little north of San Pedro community. This is US 281. This is the proposed subdivision by the applicant requesting annexation. As you can see, this is our city limit boundary right now. All this area shaded in gray is already inside the city. It follows the corridor of US 281, and then the property owner here, which this will be a planned community, being master planned, and then 281 continues north to Villa Cavazos community. Part of her subdivision, proposed subdivision, is already inside the city. This part here, this part is what she wants annexed into Brownsville. As you can see from the plan, she is proposing park development that will be donated. This property will be donated to the city of Brownsville. Attached to this, you have the service plan for the community, which will be provided with water, police protection, power for the subdivision. So this is our first public hearing. As I presented to you this project at the last city commission, state requires 3 public hearings. This is our first one tonight.
We're going to hold a public hearing, but we're not going to act on it.
There's no action, just so the public can approach you and with concerns or more information.
All right, this is a public hearing. Are there anybody from the public on this item? Okay.
Move to close, Mayor.
Motion to close by Commissioner Camarillo.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Neros. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Item, is it 11, Pete? Item 11, Stella.
Item 11, consideration and action to acknowledge the city's comprehensive annual finance report and single audit report for the fiscal year ended September 30th, 2005.
Honorable Mayor, members of the City Commission, our audit has been completed, and Mr. Carlos Barrera, partner with the firm Long Shilton, will make the presentation. And do all of you have this report with you?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
He's gonna go over
Yeah,
both.
it put me to sleep last night.
Mayor, members of the commission, the next hour and 45 minutes, I'll go through each and every one of these items. Now that I got your attention.
By yourself.
I'm here for your formal adoption to present to you the annual CAFR, the Comprehensive Annual Federal Report for the city. And so I just want to go over a few items, and I should limit to my discussion to about 5 minutes or less. First off, in this 200-some-odd page report, I want you to flip over very quickly to page 19. 19 is our opinion, and in the third paragraph it states basically that the financial statements referred to above present fairly in all material respects the financial position, in fact, of the city of Brownsville at September 30th of 2005, and in effect in conformity with accounting principles of the United States of America. In essence, we have issued an unqualified report, a clean opinion of the city. Again, congratulations to your staff on that. Part of the report, and the way, of course, the reports are done currently, is that subsequent to that, or following the audited, the opinion, is something called management of discussion and analysis. This is something that's prepared by Pete and his staff, and it basically highlights the entire year for someone like us, including me, to read and understand more fully instead of trying to dissect the financial statements. And briefly, I just want to go over just a few items. Under financial highlights, you'll notice 4 bullet points. One, that the assets of the city exceeded its liabilities at the end of the 04 year, which is September 30th, 05, by $84.8 million. And 17.3 of that is unrestricted net assets, and that's used to meet city's ongoing obligations. The fund balance in the general fund, you'll see that, we'll talk about that in a minute, increased by $2.7 million during the year. It is now at $15.495 million in the general fund. The governmental funds reported combined ending fund balances of 34.8, and 15.3 of that is available for spending at your discretion. And finally, you've issued GO bonds, the refunding bonds, Series 04 of 18.4 million, and you also issued GO bonds refunding Series 05 in the amount of 20.3 million. Those are the financial highlights for the year. Flipping over very quickly, you'll also notice on page 27, there's a comment in there that on February 15th of 06, the city completed its inventory of its infrastructure assets. We did not include that adjustment in here because, again, it was subsequent to the year end. We were pretty much done with our audit, and they were still, in effect, ironing out the kinks, in effect, of that report. And that will be adjusted in the current year, and you'll have a fairly large adjustment into the assets for the current year. Now you'll be in complete conformity with all government standards. Flipping the page, you'll see, in effect, the Exhibit 3 on page 28, the changes in net assets. This shows your governmental activities side by side from last year, as well as your business type activities. And you'll notice, for example, total revenue. This year, $98.7 million in your governmental activities, 15.2 in your business type activities, for a total of $114 million. Your expenses, a little bit further down the page.
I'm sorry, Carlos, what page did you get to?
28.
All right.
A little bit further down the page, you'll see your total expenses in about that 5th column, total of 05, 99.2 million. So in effect, you had an excess of revenues over your expenses of $14.7 million for the year. Flipping the page even further down to page 33, you'll see on page 33 your business type activities. A lot of people ask, well, how did we do with respect to the airport, the park system, public transit? And this, in effect, summarizes it. The only thing that's not included in here is the investment earnings. But you'll see, in effect, how you charge for those services, total of $7.2 million. And, in effect, other grants that came in, $4.4 million, $3.3 in other capital grants, and your expenses of $12.2. So overall, in your business type activities, you did very well. You actually created revenue, or brought revenue in, of about $2.8 million. Flipping the page again, looking at page 36. 36 shows your general fund, because that's really what you use to operate this city. And in fact, when you look at the general fund and you exclude the reserves, you look at that 2005 year, your general fund, as I stated before, at $15.4 million, almost $15.5 million. That's the highest general fund balance that I remember as your auditor. And you can see ever since back to 1993, that's before I think I was here, that you've had in this city. Of course, that mirrors also the city's growth and good stewardship, I would probably should add. The general fund balance, you'll see in there in the bullet points, $2.7 million increase. That's about a 21.3% increase over the last year. Your revenues increased about 12.9% or 8.2, but your expenditures also increased by about 13.2%, which is about 8.1 million. Your property taxes in the general fund increased 8.1%. Your city's retail sales tax increased 5% for the year. Your fees and services increased almost 6% for the year. Going to the next exhibit, Exhibit 9, if you look at what your, and this is only general fund, if you look at your revenues and you compare those, if you look all the way down, you see total revenues of $69 million. If you look right above that, you'll see surplus funds from Brownsville PUB, $7.7 million. Last year it was $3 million. It's a $4.6 million increase. Following it all the way down, when you take out all your expenditures of $65 million, you go on further down to other financing sources, then you'll see a net change in fund balance. That's that increase in the fund balance I was telling you about, 2.7. The only thing I would like to comment to you on that is this year from Brownsville Pub, as we also do the audit of the pub, your $7.7 million, in effect, there was a windfall in there. And given what you are budgeting in the current year, based upon the new formula that you all have entered into, you really have about a $2 million windfall, a little over $2 million. So in effect, if that had not occurred in fiscal year 2005, in effect, that net change in fund balance of 2.7 that you had increased would not have been there. Or you would have had a minimal increase in your general fund balance. So I didn't want to give the impression, and you should not read into this, that saying that's going to happen again this year, that you're going to have a very nice increase in your general fund balance. It can happen, but not because of what had happened in the prior year. So that's the one thing I did want to make a comment on. Finally, flipping over very quickly to, on page 57, begins the actual financial statements, and those are the ones that in effect that you are required to report. There's really only one that I want to show you, and that is, this is the GASB 34 report, which is found on page 61. If you look at all of the, if you were to take the entire city of Brownsville's operations, and you want one page to show you what happened, and where the money comes from, where the expenses go to, this is it. Very quickly, if you look at the first column, it says expenses. If you look at every one of those expenses, and again, there's breakdowns all the way throughout this thing, you'll see general government cost you $11 million, public safety at 40, public works 9, and so on and so forth. Total government entities, $87 million activities. And then you have business type activities, another $12 million. That, in effect, is $99.2 million. That's how much it costs to run the city. Okay, that's what you have to come up with. Now, where are you going to get that money? Well, then you go to the next columns. Well, program revenues are coming from charges for services, for example, $36 million. Another 13 in operating grants and revenues. If you go further on down in your business type activities, you see the $7.2 million we talked about earlier about your business type activities, $2.5 million coming from your operating grants and revenues, and another $5.3 from another capital grants and revenues. So overall, when you get down to the net expense, in effect, it breaks it down between the governmental activities and the business type activities. Overall, you're short $34 million. So then what does the city do to come up with $34 million? Now you just follow it down. Well, that $34 million is going to come from the following: property taxes of 26, sales taxes of 20, mixed drinks, et cetera, all the way down. You have $49 million to cover that $34 million. In effect, you have $14 million in excess in that current year. That's how you read this. And that, in effect, is a synopsis of your entire financial picture of that year. I'm not going to go into the rest of this. It's fairly dull, if I say so myself. The rest of this is the report. The next one that you have is in effect, the single audit report. Suffice to say that we have issued unqualified opinions there. We did have two findings. One of the findings is based upon the program income that, in effect, still has to be determined with respect to the city and the CDCB. And this afternoon I met with Ben and your attorney at length about this, and hopefully that will soon come to a resolution. And also, there's some other issues with respect to an FSR, which is a federal financial status report that was issued, and there's some complications there, but nothing major. And there are some corrective act major, 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 and there are some correct have some response to any comments we might have had. We did have one reportable condition, actually split into two areas. One, it basically concerns cash in two areas. And all we're recommending there is some additional internal control, but they are advisory, and I think Pete would like to address those. And hopefully he'll have that to you by this coming week. And if there's any questions, I'll be more than glad to happy to answer them for you.
Thank you, Mr. Barrera. I won't say you made it entertaining, but at least you made it short. Any questions? Very informative. Thank you very much.
No, thank you.
Thank you.
Mayor, I'd move to approve the report.
Second.
Motion approved by Commissioner Longoria, seconded by Commissioner Nettles. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Next item, I'm sorry, back to item 8.
11.
Item 8,
One of those.
That was 11.
That was item 11, right?
Yes.
That was 11.
8.
Item 8, consideration and action on resolution number 2006-033 in support of the Border Trade Alliance objectives.
Now, did we have not voted on this, right? Have not acted on this. All right. The Border Trade Alliance, the new president is Mr. Pete Sepulveda of Cameron County, and the BTA, obviously with immigration reform at the forefront of our national policy and politics, BTA is forming an initiative to make sure that the voice of the border area is made known to our leaders in Washington, to let them understand that they have to look at this from an all-encompassing point of view, not just from the individual standpoint, but also and the personal standpoint, but from the economic impact and from a homeland security and border security standpoint. I would ask that the commission please show its support of the BTA objectives by approving this resolution.
So moved.
A motion approved by Commissioner Hernandez, seconded by Commissioner Nettles. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Commissioners. Item 9.
Item number 9, consideration and action to adopt budget amendment resolution number 2006-032 to amend the general fund and the capital projects fund by transferring $155,000 from the general fund to the capital projects fund for City Hall remodeling expenditures previously budgeted under general fund, and to appropriate $53,000 for the lighting of the Little Miss Kickball Park.
Honorable Mayor, members of the City Commission, we recommend approval of this item.
So move.
Second.
Motion approved by Commissioner Longoria, seconded by Commissioner Nettles. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Item 10.
Item 10, consideration and action to acknowledge the Chief Financial Officer's financial statements and cash investment report for the City of Brownsville for the second quarter ending March 31st, 2006.
Honorable Mayor, members of the City Commission, I'm going to make this brief also. This is the quarterly report for the period ending March 31st, 2006. It covers 6 months. I'm going to...
Quarterly report covers 6 months?
Well, the second quarter, thank you, second quarter end in March.
Gotcha.
If you could turn to page...
I don't want Carlos coming back in here and all of a sudden say, no wonder, you know.
Yeah. There's some first page there on the memo. I'd like to go over the some of the highlights of the second quarter ending March. Sales tax, right now we're at 8.3% above last year, or approximately $832,000.
Is that for the second quarter, or is that for the 6
For the
months?
6 months ending March. We also are above budget numbers in sales tax by $259,639, or 2.45% as far as percentage. And I'm reading from the memo to the city manager. Now, the following page, something that we need to look at very closely is the utility services expenses. Right now, we show an increase of $637,000 over the same period this year. And this is the utility services that the PUB provides us. that eventually gets deducted from the cash transfer from the PUB. We run around 38% and above last year.
I know we brought this up before, and I think our city manager and staff are trying to look at ways to make all the department heads, directors, and users of our city buildings be made aware of this increase. Obviously, with the price increase in
fuel,
in gas, natural gas, and the cost of electricity, it's costing us more money also. So we need to be more diligent in conserving our electricity.
If you look on page 17, there's a breakdown, a brief breakdown of what's causing this, and the main one there is the street lights, 204,554. That's on page 17. And then we have other increases like parks.
I will say this, and I think we've tried to do this, but there are oftentimes I see many city lights, street lights that are on during the day. That's just a waste of energy, and it doesn't serve its purpose. So maybe if everybody can help us out on that to make us aware of those street lights.
To report them as soon as...
Report them as soon as possible.
To PUB.
On the, then we can go back to the PowerPoint presentation.
I thought that was it.
Well, so I can cover all the funds.
Go ahead.
On number 3, Robert, if you can go back to number 3. Slide number 3. This just gives you the what the current general fund budget looks like right now. We started the year with $15,495,753, and again, this is a conservative estimate. Like every time we make estimates, we estimate that the fund balance at the end of this year will be $12,319,977. Next slide, please. So far this year, as for the 6 months ending March 31st, we have realized revenues of $40.4 million, and we have spent $35.6 million. So we have received more revenues than expenses by $4.8 million. And that number will be reduced as the year goes into the next 6 months, and that will be because of the property tax. The majority of the property tax has already been collected. About 86% has been collected so far. So that number will be reduced as the year progresses. On slide number 5 shows the sales tax growth for the year, which I just recently covered. Slide 6, this is the Convention and Tourism Fund. Right now it's showing a deficit, but it needs a transfer from the general fund to cover that, and that'll be happening. We will make that transfer later during the year. Next slide, please. This is the event center. We only have 2,226. Next. This is community development. Again, community development are all monies that are received from the community development block grant. Eventually, those revenues and expenses will match at the end of the year. Next slide, please. This is the non-bonded debt service fund at $50,000 at the end of March. Slide 10 shows the debt service fund. At the end of the 6 month end in March, we have a fund balance of $3,204,692. We have already made payments on our bonds of $13,616,835. Slide 11. This the streetscape fund. We are going to obviously appropriate $400,000 for the linear park. We currently have $1,037,000 in this fund. Next. This is the landfill tipping fee increase fund. We have at the end of March, $776,461 in the fund balance. Next. The airport, we show revenues of $695,000, expenditures of $1.5 million. So we do have a slight deficit, and there is a transfer from the general fund of $830,000. Next. The bridge fund, go to 15. The bridge, this is the Veterans Bridge at Los Tomates. We only have information through the end of February, but through February, the increase for the year is 25.37%, and we are above budget by 24%. So the bridge fund, the transfer coming in from the county to the city, we're way above projections. Next. This is the motor vehicle parking system fund. We have exceeded expenditures by 54,000, rather revenues have exceeded expenditures by $54,000. Next. This is the transit system fund. We have operating expenditures of 1.8 million. Then we get subsidies from the federal government, state, and the general fund. Next. This is the Brownsville Golf Center, revenues of 367, expenses of 309, so we have a plus in revenues over expenses of 57,283. Next.
That's the first. Wow, that's pretty good.
Yeah, we can continue. Next slide, 19, 20. Continue, please. Continue. And finally, we are required to report to you on our investments for the period. We have money is being invested right now for the city of 92.7 million. We also invest for the BCIC, the PID, and the JIBIC, which is identified there also. And that completes my presentation.
Commissioners, any questions? Mayor, you're back.
Perfect timing.
Thank you, Pete.
Thanks, Pete.
That's someone to approve.
Second.
Approved by Commissioner Longoria, seconded by Commissioner Camarillo. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Next item.
Item 12, consideration and action to authorize the city manager to negotiate an agreement with property owners for the joint construction of Pineda Road.
Honorable Mayor and City Commissioners, tonight with this action, we're requesting that you authorize Mr. Charlie Kapler to negotiate with the property owners and on the proposed agreements in your packet. I would like to tell a little bit about Pineda Road. What this would do would be to expedite the construction of Pineda Road. As you can see, this is our master plan for transportation master plan, and Pineda Road is a road that will begin here at the expressway and end at 511. This is phase one, and in our plan, Pineda Road is not estimated to be constructed till 6 to 10 years from now. But because of the demand of growth in this area, this project is coming a little bit faster to fruition. Pineda Road, as a primary arterial, would be in years past eligible for TxDOT funding. There's no TxDOT funding for this project in our plans today. And TxDOT is moving more to a public-private partnerships, as you've read in some of newspaper articles. Next slide, please.
Hey, Ben, this will be a much-needed east to west thoroughfare, right?
That's correct. I'm sorry for the map, but you have it in your packet, and Robert could fix that. Oh, there it is. Okay, I'm sorry. What you have here is the phase that we are proposing under with this agreement. It encompasses different property owners, and one, Mr. Glore, is here with us. This section is what we're discussing here tonight. As you can see, this is a 120-foot right-of-way that's required according to our plan. It's a primary arterial. Next slide, please. Under this project, under the agreement, a 120-foot right-of-way will be donated, of which right now the city does not have. The city would pay half of the construction costs, totaling $294,296, and that's in the upper side. This is an estimate. The developer would pay half of the construction of the other half of the road. This would incorporate about 761 linear feet of pavement that will be constructed. The city would recoup at the end of the construction period the half that would be paid to the city by the developers. As Mr. as the commissioner mentioned, Cisneros, this is a major roadway that is needed for east to west transportation. It will alleviate congestion. This project is needed now as developments are occurring every day in that particular part of the community. There's about 10 subdivisions in that area under construction. And what this will do would be expedite or increase the pace of construction, of housing, of commercial areas on that thoroughfare. So commissioners and mayor, I ask that you give Mr. Charlie Calvert permission to negotiate those agreements in your packet.
This is, like you said, Ben, it's moving up quickly on the MPO calendar and item of projects. We sorely need this. We needed it yesterday.
Yeah.
So we need to approve it.
I'd like to make a motion to approve.
Motion approved by Commissioner Neto, seconded by Commissioner Longoria. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Thank you,
Thank you, Ben.
Item 13.
Charlie?
Item 13, consideration and action to approve a community development block
Ben.
grant.
I know, they need to stop that.
I'm sorry, Stella, go ahead.
Everybody else is gonna wanna do it.
Item 13, consideration and action to approve a community development block grant subrecipient agreement between the City of Brownsville and Project Vita.
We're going to pass this, right, because of those?
Yes.
All right, yeah.
We're having a meeting tomorrow with.
All right, move to pass this item.
Yes.
Table?
I'm sorry, table. It's been
Second.
a long day. Thank you, Commissioner. All in favor?
Yes, you made the motion, Mayor.
All opposed, motion carries. Been one of those days. Item 14.
Item 14, consideration and action to request authorization for the City of Brownsville Bus to enter into a memorandum of understanding agreement with the Lower Rio Grande Valley Development Council for participation and commitment on the development of a regional transit service plan.
Good evening, Mayor, City Commissioners. Brownsville Urban System is respectfully requesting authorization from the City Commission to enter into an MOU agreement with the Lower Rio Grande Development Council for the development of a regional transit service plan. House Bill 3588 mandates that TxDOT coordinate public transportation services throughout the state. Therefore, the FAR District Transit Advisory Panel, of which Brownsville Urban System is a stakeholder and member, will oversee the efforts towards coordinating transportation services in our region. The region for this service plan includes Cameron, Hidalgo, and Willacy counties. The agencies represented on the Transit Advisory Panel will assist in providing data, projections, and other support as needed throughout the period of the study. The Transit Advisory Panel designated the Lower Rio Grande Development Council as the lead agency to develop the regional transit service plan for our region. They have contracted with a qualified and experienced consultant to provide professional consulting services for the development of the regional transit service plan under the guidance of the Transit Advisory Panel. Appendix A on your packet lists the scope of services to be included in this project. The compensation to the consultants for this project is also listed in Appendix B, which is a total of $165,261. Brownsville Urban System is committed to coordinating transportation services and understands that transportation services are vital to the economic prosperity of our community and in the best interest of the City of Brownsville. Therefore, Brownsville Urban System has budgeted $5,261.50 to support this project. Funding for this project is in fiscal year 2006, Section 5307 grant. That was the grant that Alex presented to you earlier, and staff recommends approval.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion approved by Commissioner Arroyo, seconded by Commissioner Longoria. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Next item.
Thank you.
Item number 15, consideration and action to accept the 29th year Community Development Block Grant Street and Drainage Improvement Project and to release retainage and final payment to R&R Paving Company.
Honorable Mayor, Commissioners, this is a CDBG street project for Sherry and Villa Verde. All the work has been completed and approved. We recommend approval.
Would approve. Second.
Motion approved by Commissioner Longoria, seconded by Commissioner Camarillo. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Next item.
What item?
Item 16, consideration and action to award a contract for the purchase, delivery, and installation of sports field lighting improvements at the North Brownsville Little Miss Kickball Field Complex.
Honorable Mayor, Commissioners, at the request of our Parks and Recreation Director Skip Keller, Purchasing Department has solicited a buy board proposal for this procurement. ACR Engineering has developed specifications for the sports lighting requirements for this project. The project consists of sports lighting equipment for the remainder 3 kickball fields, excluding the pole bases provided under Phase 1. As noted, this is a turnkey solution that will complete the required lighting at the kickball fields. Our recommendation is award of the contract for the purchase and installation of sports field lighting improvements at the North Brownsville Little Miss Kickball Field Complex to Musco Sports Lighting, Round Rock, Texas, in the amount of $80,787.
Any other questions?
Move to approve.
Motion approved by
Second.
Commissioner Longoria, seconded by Commissioner Hernandez. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Next item.
Item 17, consideration and action to reject bids for construction of general aviation ramp infrastructure Phase 2.
Mayor and Commissioners, at the request of our Aviation Director Larry Brown, the Purchasing Department solicited formal sealed bids for this project. Sealed bids were opened on the subject project on April 6, 2006. A total of 2 bids were received and tabulated by the project consulting engineer Brad Butler, Senior Field Representative of HNTB Corporation. Inasmuch as the bids received were over 55% above the engineering estimate of $339,631.75, as well as higher than the project budget, the determination has been made by staff as well as the consulting engineer to request consideration this evening to reject these bids. The project will be redesigned to conform more closely to budget, and new bids will be solicited.
Motion to reject.
Second.
Motion to reject by Commissioner Cisneros, Commissioner Hernandez, seconded by Commissioner Arroyo. All
Oh,
in
you're
favor?
thinking of me.
All opposed? Motion carries. I'm just worried about your flu. Next item.
You're thinking of me, man.
Item 18, consideration and action to reject bids for construction of terminal apron expansion Phase 2 and hangar demolition.
Motion to reject.
Motion to reject by Commissioner Hernandez, seconded by Commissioner Camarillo. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Item rejected.
Thank you very much.
We have several public comments. Mr. John Shergold regarding trains, parks, and buses.
Trains. Trains.
You have 3 minutes, sir.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor. It's been a while since I've been down here, and it saddens me because what I got to say is basically based on what I've been hearing from a lot of my friends out on the streets. One of them is, I'm going to talk about the railroads. Back in 2003, a lot of you may remember, I ran for public office. I met a lot of friends, and I didn't win the race, but I'll tell you one thing, I had a good time running. And one of the issues I had was the train issue, the blockages. As some of you may remember, I was one of your prosecutors here several years ago. And thanks to commissioners at the time, Commissioner Hernandez, who supported me when I was working here, he told me to go after those trains, those big old train corporations. But guess what? We enforced those train statutes, that train ordinance, when I was there. I defy anyone to go down there and see if it's being enforced now, because I'm going to tell you that it isn't being enforced. I was even told back in that election cycle, John, don't worry about it. Those trains are going to be out in 30 days. They're going to be gone in 30 days after the May election in 2003. But y'all had a meeting just about 2 weeks ago, and guess what? They're still here. They're still here. People out there on Alton Gore and out there by the Walmart, they're wondering what happens if they get stopped by a train out there. And I defy anybody, Mr. Mayor, to show me where in any state courthouse you'll find train tracks sitting out there rotting and rusting out there in the middle of the street. I know I'm not the only person that sees it. Another thing I'd like to talk about is parks. There's got to be something wrong with the system when the poor people and the little kids of our community over at St. Charles Park find a padlock on their public park. Now, if that happened in a lot of communities, there'd be riots out in the street. You know what? The people here are good people. But you know what? They've gotten tired and apathetic because they don't think that coming down here is going to do any good by complaining. I think it is. And I think it's a shame that when you put a padlock on a public park and punish the people and the kids to go to those parks because of a few rotten apples, they're vandalizing the place. Mr. Kabler is one of the finest city commissioners the state has, and he's doing everything he can, but he needs to be supported by the commission up here and given the proper funding to open that park back up. It needs to be opened up, folks. If we're for people and little people, there's no saying if people didn't make mistakes, they wouldn't put erasers in the back of a pencil. And I made plenty of mistakes, but one of the biggest mistakes that this commission's made is allowed a park to be shut down and locked.
Thank you, Mr. Shergill. Appreciate your
One
comment.
last thing I'd like to say, if you
Your
want to get
your 3
elected-
minutes are up, sir.
I think I got 10 seconds left.
No? Is his
Put
time
us up
Ms.
on the
Haddon?
first agenda item,
Thank you,
Mr.
Mr.
Mayor. You'll get reelected for sure if you put us at first instead of last. Thank you.
Mr. Paul Hansen, regarding Planned Parenthood.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor, City Commissioners. I'm speaking on behalf of Mr. Paul Hansen. My name is Noel Rodriguez.
Well, hold on. I'm sorry, Mr. Rodriguez. We have certain rules to allow Mr. Fitzpatrick, Kelly Fitzpatrick. Who's Kelly?
She's right here with us.
All right, well, Kelly can speak then. It's not that I don't want to hear you speak, it's just that we've got rules and I've got to follow them. I'm sorry.
Mayor, I'm sorry as well, but just as a note, our ordinance where we permit public speaking prohibits placards or any type of signs or anything to be brought up.
Mayor, they just weren't familiar with the rules of protocol, and so they missed the first go-around. It wasn't that they were trying to violate any of the rules.
No, I understand that.
And they wanted to speak, and they were trying to make
If who's Kelly? If Kelly wants to allow, I'm sorry, Mr. Gonzalez?
Rodriguez.
Rodriguez. If Kelly wants to allow Ms. Rodriguez to speak on her behalf, then that's fine.
those two individuals weren't able to say.
Go ahead, Ms. Rodriguez.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor. I would first like to ask that there is a vital information packets that you received earlier, and I would like if you could review them at this moment, please. To those of you that are parents and can understand the hardships of being parents, I applaud you and I really honor you guys because my parents do so much for me. I mean, aside from clothing me and feeding me, they're there for me to support me spiritually, emotionally. I've sometimes talked with my dad into the small hours of the night, you know, changing the world, as they say. Now, as I said before, to those of you that have children, could you ever imagine not having them with you? Not watching them grow? Not watching them succeed in life? My dream is to one day have children of my own, to be married and watch them grow, watch them go through grade school and all that. However, Honorable Mayor and City Commissioners, you have just approved a program that cuts all those dreams short.
Give him another minute. Give him another minute.
I plead that if you could please search your hearts and reconsider your decision. I ask you that you please if God were here at this moment, would you, City Commissioners, and you, Honorable Mayor, would you be happy with your choice?
Mr. Rodriguez, thank you for your comments this evening. I appreciate it.
Mayor.
We
Thank you for
appreciate
hearing
it.
me out. Thank you guys.
This meeting is adjourned.